I mean, after you do something for so many years, as myself being a ballerina for 20 years, that's the only thing that you know. Yes, I went to university, I had that experience. I actually loved what I studied for my bachelor. Yet my body and my mind and my emotions were so used to doing one thing for so long. So the struggle started there. So when I decided to come here, I was really open. I wanted to enjoy, because if you don't enjoy, then a lot of opportunities could just not present or you will miss them. However, I was stressed. I was really worried about what if I don't figure it out. But then I always had the fallback of my plan B, which was, what is the worst that could happen? And by knowing that, it wasn't as bad as I thought. So whenever I had those doubts, I would always think, what is the worst that could happen?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You're now watching Kinetic Outcome, and we are with Yamilette Cano.
Correct. Very well pronounced. I love it.
And also, she is the founder of Louder and Louder Connect, and also the president of Mexican Chamber of Commerce, Hong Kong. So, for the further introduction, I leave it to you.
Thank you very much, Hector, for having me here. And thank you, everyone. So nice to see you. I hope you enjoy our session, because I'm already enjoying it. I love your attire, I love your style, and I'm very, very excited about our conversation. So thank you for having me.
Well, same here. It looks like we're going to make some magic, right?
Yeah, no, we didn't even talk about this beforehand, so we're matching. It's meant to be.
All right. Well, my first question is, let's go back to way back when you were younger. Like, where were you born? How did you get to Hong Kong? Like, just that story, and then how did you fall in love and stay here?
Oh, well, I was born and raised in Mexico, Mexico City. I love my country, it's such a colorful place, and that gave me a start for creativity and innovation. At 3, I told my mom, Mommy, I want to be a ballerina. And she said, well, perhaps you're still too young, you have to wait until you're 5 years old, and then I can take you to ballet classes. And I couldn't wait enough. 5-year-old happened, I have my cake in front of me, blow the candles, and I said to my mom, now you can take me to ballet school. And 20 years later, I had an amazing career, danced for that time as a professional ballerina, and I loved it. It was always my first passion, my first love, expressing myself in a way that I didn't even need to use my words. I could use my body to communicate my emotions. And that set me to a very great start. It allowed me to create resilience, confidence, adaptability, flexibility, and know also how to manage my emotions and figure out challenges, because as a dancer and an artist, we have lots of challenges. But one day I decided that I was fulfilled with my ballet career and it was time to move on. I went to university and studied international relations, and from there, my path took me to various different endeavors. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, whether I went into diplomacy or do something else. And life just happened, because I say, why not? One of my professors at university told me, why don't you go to Asia? You've always been very curious about Asia in general. Because, fun fact, I don't know why, but people in Mexico and my friends back in the day asked me if I was Chinese. So I grew up with that idea that I wanted to see it myself. And that's how it all happened. I came to Hong Kong in 2008. As an exchange student at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and I loved it. And I'm here. It's going to be like 17 years later, and I will never regret it. This has been amazing. It's a super cool place, very safe. It's very good for business and connecting and creating these conversations. When I landed in Hong Kong, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. 2 bags, and decided to test my luck. And all this time afterwards, I've been lucky enough to meet the right people at the right time, at the right moment. And with the openness of having those connections, I was able to start working with another wonderful entrepreneur that had an events company back then. And we partnered together to grow the business. And after a few years, we decided to sell the business and start working for a corporation. And that's when I also learned other stuff from myself, how to work with different teams, to collaborate. And I truly understood that entrepreneurship was my second passion. When I finished that acquisition process, I decided to go solo again and open louder. And through the transition, I also found myself emceeing, moderating a lot of the events that we produced, hence my third passion in public speaking and training people how to communicate better, to have that confidence in your own personal brand to communicate in an assertive, empathetic, and authentic way. And here I am. This is the 6th year of Louder Global, and we've also started another passion, which is growing our own business, throwing our own event, Louder Connect. 2024 is our second year for Louder Connect, and now we're very passionate about a space for people to share difficult conversations and difficult ideas, but in a very community way of having these conversations. So we're going to talk about responsible tech this year, October 23, and I hope you come and you share the momentum with us too. And last but not least in my story, and the most important role that I have had since May 24, 2022, is a mom of my little Sienna Kai, who she keeps me on my toes, very busy, and I love seeing her grow. And that also gives me the energy and the passion to keep moving, to keep growing, and to keep supporting the youth and those who are starting their career, especially in the female entrepreneurship community.
Wow. That was by far among all our interviews the longest intro, but it was great. But I want to go back from the start. You were talking about like your first love as a ballerina, right? So, because I love music and I perform as well.
Oh.
So I want you to like elaborate a little bit on how did it feel in that 5 to 10 minutes in your show? Like let's say you're on stage, all eyes on you now. How do you define that moment? How does it feel for you every time you did your performances?
I would have to literally close my eyes and I will just smile. It's just a feeling that is very hard to explain because every performance is different. However, every performance is so important to be able to internalize what you want to showcase, to have an intention for that emotion, and then be able to showcase it. So the feeling would always be of joy and passion, despite the fact that perhaps sometimes you have mistakes. We all make mistakes. When I was a dancer, sometimes I remember I fell once, like on my face. And
like you really hit your face?
Like literally, I was doing a movement called the arabesque. So you lift your leg at the back and my point shoe was a little slippery. So it went flat on my face. And it was a matter of seconds to stand up and say, you know, you can't
just
stay in that
performing.
moment. You keep performing. You have to have that emotion. So that's why preparation, as you may know as a musician, is very important. Because if these things happen, you cannot stop the show, as they say. The show must go on.
Mm.
So
okay.
It's, I would say, joy, and it's just a blissful feeling.
Moments that you can't buy back, but it just feels so fast when you're in that moment.
Yes, yes, correct.
And you want to have more, but you have to practice to get more of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you got to Hong Kong, right, you're still figuring out what you wanted. I just want to like go in depth in that part where you were still figuring it out. Were you just flowing and enjoying, or were you also having doubts and struggles in that moment?
Oh, both. I mean, after you do something for so many years, as myself being a ballerina for 20 years, that's the only thing that you know. Yes, I went to university, I had that experience. I actually loved what I studied for my bachelor. Yet my body and my mind and my emotions were so used to doing one thing for so long. So the struggle started there. So when I decided to come here, I was really open. I wanted to enjoy, because if you don't enjoy, then a lot of opportunities could just not present, or you will miss them. However, I was stressed. I was really worried about what if I don't figure it out. But then I always had the fallback of my plan B, which was, what is the worst that could happen? And by knowing that, it wasn't as bad as I thought. So whenever I had those doubts, I would always think, what is the worst that could happen? well, I have to go back to Mexico and stay with my parents longer. And to be honest, it wasn't that bad because I'm very fortunate to have a great relationship with my family and my parents. So it wasn't as bad as perhaps I would have thought in the moment in time. So then I will always go back to that. You know, you're feeling stressed, you have doubts, but it's not as bad as you think.
And you mentioned you ended up being a partner with somebody running a company, right? How did you meet that partner?
Again, the right moment, the right time, meeting the right people. I went to a dinner and I met another person that met this lady, and he introduced me to her. It was just connection. And it was just openness of saying, this gentleman, he asked me, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm looking for a job. I have no idea about what. This is what I know. This is what I've done. And then it clicked for him. But I had that conversation with him, and it all started like that.
Very interesting, because it's all about like flow state. I don't know, like you probably read books, right? So flow state is like you are just flowing and it's just working out.
Yeah.
And after that, you got into corporate, then you get to learn how corporate works. And then now with whatever you're doing, you have both the entrepreneur and corporate merged together.
Correct.
Okay. And how long did it take you to realize I want to open louder?
No, I knew it. I knew it even when
Oh,
I
you
was
already
still
knew
in
it
the
long
corporate.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I was at a moment in my life in terms of age that I had all this. I still have, but it was different energy and different goals, all these dreams. And I had the time. I was single. I didn't have a baby, so everything was focusing on that. So it didn't take me a while. It was really very obvious to me that that's what I wanted to keep pursuing.
So it's just work first, figure it out until you find the right timing.
Sure.
And when you finally opened Louder though, like how did that turn out for you? Was it like smooth or lots of ups and downs when you first started?
Well, it keeps being ups and downs. Entrepreneurship is that, you know, there's no linear path. It's like a maze. And whoever tells you that that never changes, it's true. You're always going to have ups and downs because you grow, then the climate changes, there's things like COVID that hit us and then we didn't expect. So it's always about the adaptability. The start, I would say, wasn't super hard for me because of the ground and the roots that I had already. And obviously, because I was quite open to go back to the people that I knew from my events time and say, hey, I knocked the door and I said, I was very honest. I'm starting a new thing. I'm starting coaching and I don't have tons of experience on this, as if you want to look at my accolades and certificates, but I have experience with movement and my presentation in the own event, and I'm putting together this program. Do you give me an opportunity? And they did. And I just needed one or two people to say yes. And I'm always going to be so grateful for those opportunities because they were like, okay, let's try it. Let's figure it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, doesn't. But I worked on myself to not have a fear to ask for help to those people that I knew. Because I said, if I have these relationships, if I have nurtured these relationships for a while, why not ask for help?
Awesome. And recently, Louder Connect.
Oh. What do you want to know about it?
Like,
that sounds a big roller coaster.
Okay. Well, how was it like through the process? And you're still in the process right now? Because you said there's a lot of things that you have to fix with the upcoming event as well, right? Yeah. But it does sound interesting. And I look forward to being there.
Yeah, super.
So, yeah, I'd like to know more in-depth detail on, I mean, just Louder Connect itself and what you're working on now.
Okay. Well, Louder Connect started because as an event professional, we've organized events for other people. And one day I just woke up literally and I said, why don't I organize our own event? But then you always have the fear of what if no one comes? You have this imposter syndrome of what if it's not successful? I don't have the funds to fund it and what to do. And going back to the relationship and connections, I've been working with the team at 𝑬𝑺 Hong Kong for a while, since I opened Louder, because they offer support to the startups. And I was having a conversation with them, and one of the team members said, why don't you pitch to be part of the 𝙆𝒊𝙣𝒆𝙩𝒊𝙘 Festival? And as part of one of our events, we give you some support. To start. That's a good starter, right? And I was like, yeah, why not? It doesn't sound bad. You obviously have to put the effort in creating something different and to pitch the idea to them. And we were fortunate enough to get our first community event with 𝙆𝒊𝙣𝒆𝙩𝒊𝙘 Festival last year as a startup. And from them it grew, and this year we are happily one of the main events. And it just starts growing, and we have that support. We have their advice and their connections, and they're always obviously willing to see you succeed, because that's part of the idea of their work and the connections and the growth of businesses here in Hong Kong. So if I were to say the challenges when you have that type of support, it would be to make it cohesive, but also when you're in the creative space, you know it can go all over the place. And I have all these grand ideas, but I also have to be logical about how do we execute with the time that we have, with the resources that we have, and then the financials that we have. So that would be one of the main things for me as a creative, to pull myself down. And I'm so ever grateful that I have a team that helped me with that, to say, hey, you need to be grounded here. Let's go there. Yeah, this idea, it's amazing, but maybe we cannot do it this year. Let's just park it for next year. And things like that. It's a fun work, a lot of work, but I feel that it's so worth it, because the overall objective of doing this, aside from saying, why don't we do our own event, started, and it was born because of my own baby girl. Because when she was born, I said, I would love to create a platform where she can also have the space to have these conversations, these difficult conversations that perhaps we don't see that often in this moment in time. But when she grows up, hopefully she doesn't have to fight for these things. Topics like female entrepreneurship and funding, or the gender disparity, or the pay gap, and what have you.
Okay. I got another interesting question. Like, throughout these years, if you don't mind, what was your most toughest year? Because in my type of business, in a way, I'm just a partner or franchise of the company, right? So I'm also doing business.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about it's crazy sometimes, and I want to bash my head on the wall sometimes, but that's how it is. And good times are like, oh, it's awesome, right? So what was your toughest moment?
Well,
if you don't mind sharing.
No. I'm very open about my personal journey, because I also feel that it empowers other people, and especially female entrepreneurs, or female in general. I was married before my current marriage with my baby girl. And when I got divorced, I was going through the acquisition of the previous company, changing jobs, getting to know the new team, and going through this personal hurdle. And it was really hard. I would say it was really hard to be able to manage emotions, to be able to perform, because I was expected to perform. We just got acquired by a big corporation, and obviously, not that they did not care. They showed a lot of care, but they still wanted results. So I had to push myself to say, this is not going to define me. It should not define me. Fortunately, it didn't work the way that I thought, but let me see what are the opportunities that this is going to open. And with the support of my community, of my friends at the time, and the business, I was able to come out of it quite victorious, I would say. And I have no regrets. I learned a lot. I had good times in my previous marriage, but I have even better times now. So I'm really excited about when things like this happen to you, to be able to bounce back. Yeah, I would say that would be my most difficult moment so far.
And was that like half a year to a year, or what?
Months. I was determined. I pulled my ballerina strength and grit there and saying, I'm determined. First, it's not going to define me, because this is not it shouldn't tell the world who I am because of a title that now I got from society. And I cannot be crying in the middle of the street in a hole, because that's not going to help anyone. Most certainly not me. So I decided I was gonna process it and find the support that I needed to process it faster. which meant, in my case, I went to counseling, and I'm open about it, and it really helped me. I spoke to my family members very early in the stage. I asked my mom to come and stay with me for a while, and she did, so that also helped. So I found myself planning the tools that were going to help me in order to, move forward faster. But some people may need long time. I'm not saying that this is the right way. It just depends on what you really need and what you can handle and what you want in that moment.
Okay, thanks for the detailed answer. So next question, your experience throughout the years working, right? So there's always, like you're mentioning about the pay gap, the differences. How was it like in the corporate world, the fact that you were a woman, but of course you want to achieve more, right? We're all very different. I mean, for women and men, some just want to be like, handling that work. Some like to be front lines. Mm-hmm. Front lines, your vice presidents, your CEOs, right? So how is the battle like there? And also like, there's this masculine, feminine energy thing, right? Yeah. But you have to switch into masculine mode when you get to work, right? So how do you put that all together with your experience?
Well, I'm in a creative space, and there's more female in the creative space than male at the moment in time. Not to say that our cameraman, he is a male, and there's lots of great male out there doing video stuff and creative stuff. But in that company and in that specific space, when I was there, it was more female orientated. So it was less of that battle, I guess, of payment and stuff. When it comes to energy, I would not agree with you, Hector, because I am such a girl's girl, and I love my femininity, and I love utilizing it in the workplace, and I feel it's super strong. And the female leaders that I've met, they're so feminine when they decide to. If they don't want to, they want to use another type of energy, they're also great, but it's a matter of, again, confidence. If you choose to be that and to portray that and to have that presence, then it's going to work for you. So in my case, I choose to be the most girly girl that I can, even though I love suits, but I want to portray, this female, strong power suit woman, but not because of the suit being a male connected attire. It's just that I love wearing it. It's so comfortable, and I feel that you look great in them. Sorry. But also I love slaying a dress.
Yeah, so I guess you didn't really have much of that struggle, because there are a few that I know that go through that. Yeah. We
hear that constantly, and I do have clients and friends that we have these conversations about that, for sure.
Too sensitive to talk about it here, but yeah. And next one is, how was life prior to becoming a mother? Like, is it more inspiring, or like with the work that you do, and like you mentioned earlier, I love seeing her grow up.
Yeah.
Like, how did it change perspective?
It changed everything. It changes everything. Motherhood changes everything, from physical, mental, financial, time-wise. I haven't slept for 2 years properly. I used to be a great sleeper, and now I wake up even with the tiniest noise. But I don't regret it. It's just, for me, it's very fulfilling. I wouldn't say it's easy, no. I also talk about struggles, and it's hard to juggle work, having a business, trying to grow a business. Even if you're working at a corporation, I would guess that it could also be a struggle. And then having that mom guilt, we all have. I have had panel discussions with other wonderful ladies, recent one with Emma Wallace and a couple of ladies that we were talking about, how do you juggle this? We feel the mom guilt all the time. I'm talking to you now, and inside me I'm thinking, what is she doing? I wish I was there, I could see her, but I'm not with her. And when I'm with her, sometimes inside me I can hear that, oh, I need to do all these things and all these tasks, and the to-do list is piling up. So it's about trying to find your true north and the balance. And perhaps also, I don't think that the guilt goes away ever, but being content. And if you need to talk about it and find communities where you can feel supported, because sometimes you feel that you're alone, that you're going through this process alone, and there's lots of ladies out there that are going through the same thing. So it changes a lot, changes perspective, and changes your drive. At least for me, it has changed my drive, that I want to do. I've always been quite driven, but now I'm even more, I feel that I want to be there. I want to be strong, and I want to do better things for my baby. So,
okay, interesting. Because one day I'll be one, but not yet. Yeah. And next is for Mexican Chamber, right? Like, were you the one that opened it? Or?
No. We've been open for 13 years. We're actually in the office of the founder of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, 𝙆𝒂𝙤𝒊𝙘, and he got together with a group of business people here in Hong Kong in 2008 and decided that we needed a chamber. And the way that it works, that the community gets together, the business community gets together, and after a couple of years, you can apply for official recognition from both countries, Mexico and Hong Kong in our case, to be an official chamber. So in the level of official chamber, aside from helping our members and supporting the community, we also have access to government officials, and we attend all of these government meetings where we can raise the hand on behalf of our members and share their queries. So officially, this is our 10th anniversary, by the way. We're going to do something in December. Also invite you to celebrate our 10th anniversary, but we have been open for 13 years. And I've been on board with the chamber on and off in the past, helping organize some events, and then off, and then coming back, helping organize some events. And in 2021, I started helping more with the communication. And then the presidency is for 2 years. It's like a rental contract, 1 + 1. You have to still vote in the second year. And they were opening the presidency, but then I got pregnant. And I said, guys, can you wait for me? Let's park this. And that happened this year. Well, October last year, we did our election, our official election. And ever since, I've been the president. And I'm really, really happy and stoked that now I have more time. I figured out the beginnings of my motherhood to get myself better organized. And I can support my community and be at service to help connect businesses Mexico and Hong Kong and the GBA area.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And I met you at the right time then.
Yes.
Yeah. And my second last question is, growing up, it could be anybody or more than one. Who do you look up to most?
My mom and my dad. I'm an only child, which is very not common in Mexico. Most people have 2 or 3 kids. I'm the only child in my family. And I was always very, very close to my parents. And not only because I'm an only child, it's because they've supported me since the very beginning of my life. They've always gave me space, platform, consideration. And they said, do you want to do this? You go for it. And we're here for you. You have your wings. And they gave me the biggest wings. And even my parents, they joke and say, we didn't think you were going to go the other side of the world. But here I am, and they still support me with every decision, whether they approve it 100% or not, but they've been there. And so I would say my parents. I'm very, very close to my mom because we talk about some stuff that I don't talk to my dad, but also if I want to speak to my dad about other stuff, we have also a very, very interesting relationship. And I would also say my mom's parents. I grew up with them. They've been amazing grandparents, and I still have them here with me. And I'm so joyful and happy to see my daughter also be part of that process of meeting her great-grandparents and having that opportunity. So I would say my family, my close family, it's always been my inspiration. And now, well, 𝙊𝒂𝙢𝒊𝙘, my baby girl, she's my #1.
Shout outs. Dropped mic. Okay, so last question is, normally I'd ask what is there to look forward to, but you already said it. So October 23, right?
Yes, October 23, Maritime Museum.
So the last question is just, with women that want to be, because in a way, this channel is for people to watch people that they look up to, right? So just a bit on the pros and cons and what to expect if they want to be someone like you.
Oh, that's very generous.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hector. Well, I would say you have to be consistent, persistent, and resilient, because nothing that comes easy, and everybody says the thing, but the older you get, you really realize that nothing that comes easy is going to stay there for long. you have to fight. If you want success, you have to go through various challenges and stumble on your face, flat on your face, to know what to do next. I really like this international speaker that won Toastmasters back in the 2000s. I don't remember the date exactly, but Darren LaCroix says, even if you fall flat on your face, when you wake up, when you stand up, you already have progress because you were here when you fell, right? And then you stand up. You're already having progress. So looking at the possibilities, the options, and saying, you know, this didn't work, but it's not the end. So jumping out of the skydiving situation, but always having a little peekaboo so you can manage where you're gonna land. You may not know 100%, but if you have planned, if you are consistent, and if you're true to what you want to do, and you do it honestly and authentically, then you can get into whatever you want. Some industries you need to practice more, some industries you need to get more technical knowledge, and some other ones you just have to try them and see if it works.
When you talk about being genuine, right? What I feel from my experience in life in general is a lot of people are too afraid to be fully themselves. And like inside there's another person saying, I want to say these things from A to B, well, I mean A to Z, but the person outside, the flesh, you say 1 to 100. And it's so hard to attract your opportunities when you're not fully genuine with who you are. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. But that's also a process, and you learn with age. Because when you're younger, it's hard. Even if your elders tell you, this is the way you should go, and this is what you should do, we are finding ourselves. So patience and kindness. Be kind to yourself, because you're going to make mistakes. And maybe you hurt some people in the way, or you do something that you, now that you think about it in hindsight, oh, I should have done this or that. But be kind, because nobody's perfect. And we should not strive to be perfect. We're complex human beings, and that's exciting. For me, that's exciting.
Okay. Well, appreciate your time. Thanks for being here again.
My pleasure.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, Yamilette.
Thank you.
Hector, Kinetic Outcome.
Our aim is to provide value. So if you like what you watched, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'm also a financial advisor based in Hong Kong, so feel free to check the description box for my details and email or DM. And if ever you need video and photography services, the phenomenal videos you're watching right now are filmed by Edry Mendoza. Lastly, if you love hip-hop music, rap, R&B, singing, whichever that sounds amazing to your ears, because I always do a lot of experiments with it, feel free to drop by my channel at SCF Saint or Saint Crossfade. Appreciate you for being part of this episode and more to come. Till next time.